यानी मेरे कन कन में संगीत मौसीकी बसी हुई है। मेरी जिंदगी संगीत है, मेरा मजहब संगीत है।
Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of the Chicago Dialogues. This series, as you know, is produced by the University of Chicago Center in Delhi in collaboration with Prohor.in. I am Deepesh Chakraborty, a professor of history and South Asian studies at the University of Chicago and currently the faculty director of the University Center in Delhi. We've been lucky to have the best-selling author, Mr. Avik Chanda, as the anchor for this series. Today, it is our immense privilege and honor to present the great sarodist Ustad Amjad Ali Khan in conversation with Professor Anna Schultz, my esteemed colleague in the music department, and Mr. Chanda. Mr. Chanda will do the formal introductions. Over to you, Avik.
Dipishda, many thanks, and a very warm welcome to our viewers all across the world. Ustadji, are you able to hear me now? Okay. I think there's a little bit of a technical glitch. So while we're waiting, this is, of course, the episode that all of us, many thousands, tens of thousands of us across the world are waiting and have been waiting for a while. So while we wait for Ustadji to come back on screen, let me introduce Anna Christine Schultz. Anna Christine Schultz is the Associate Professor of Music and the Humanities at the University of Chicago. Her research centers around Indian music's power to activate profound religious experiences that in turn shape other identities. Her monograph, Singing a Hindu Nation, charts the nationalist interventions of Western Indian devotional performers from the late 19th through to the early 21st centuries. Her second book, which is forthcoming from OUP and entitled Songs of Translation, Bene Israel Performance from India to Israel, explores the gender and cultural translation in the devotional songs of the Bene Israel, which is a Marathi-speaking Jewish people from Western India. Dr. Schultz is the co-recipient of the H. Collins Slim Award by the American Musicological Society, and her research has been supported by numerous fellowships, including the American Council of Learned Societies, the Hellman Foundation, Fulbright Hayes, the University of Illinois, and Stanford University. Anna, a very warm welcome to the show. Why don't I invite you to do the honors?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chanda and Professor Chakraborty, for these lovely introductions. And thank you, Ustadji, for generously making the time to be with us today. So I will begin by jumping right into the questions. Avik and I will take turns, and I'll start. I'd like to begin by asking you, Ustadji, about your experience during the pandemic. I can only imagine how difficult the last year has been for you as an artist, since you're unable to share your music in front of live audiences. So how have you coped with that? And have there been any silver linings, any unexpected blessings during this past year for you?
So I would like to say namaskar first to all of you, and it's a great pleasure and honor to share my thoughts and our conversation. Yes, pandemic, nobody ever thought that the human being will face this kind of
Right. I think we'll have to just wait for Ustadji to come back online. Seems to have just disconnected. So a quick one to the back end guys. Maybe you can just put the poster out there till we wait for Ustadji to join back. Sorry about this.
can you hear me now?
Yes, Ustadji, please go ahead.
So we were not sorry for this interruption. So it has, it has been a very, very big tragedy for the creative people, for the especially artists, musicians. And I personally had many world concert tours with Sharon Isbin, with many projects, and we were scheduled to perform in BBC Proms, Albert Hall, and Carnegie Hall. So many concerts got cancelled and postponed, and we were not prepared to face the situation because we live for music and we live on music. So, a classical musician has to surrender yourself to God and the Guru. And according to our training, we are not supposed to ask the Guru what will happen tomorrow, because this tomorrow has to be surrendered to at the feet of the Guru and God. So we never knew, we were not allowed to plan our tomorrow. Every wise man, they plan their life that after 5 years they'll do this, after 10 years they will do that, after 15 years. But classical, real musicians, the classical, committed, dedicated musicians, they practically surrender themselves. So, our family suffered a lot of financial, we didn't know how to. Thanks to my wife, Subbalakshmi ji, I don't know how she's managing. It's more than a year that we are sitting at home and we are doing some virtual concerts. There are some corporate houses. They wanted us to record and perform virtually, and they gave us our performance fee. At the same time, the positive side of pandemic has been that we are thinking. I could spend more time. I was remembering my guru. I was remembering my father and all those ancient ragas he used to discuss. So I discovered, and I achieved something musically in this pandemic. I spent a lot of time with my family, a lot of teaching sessions with Aman and Ayan and my grandchildren. So, every profession, every professionalist in every field, there has been negative and positive side.
Exactly. Ustadji, I'll follow it up with a question of my own. The earlier
Yes.
when we were talking on the 15th, and we were talking about education, And you are lamenting the fact that today, when you're looking at the school education, the teacher will say, open your notebook, turn to
Yes.
so and so page and start, right? There is
Yes.
not much thought given to the well-being and very little thought given to exploring the creative potential of children, right?
Yes. Yes.
But I would really want to know, and I'm sure so would the users, as a contrast to this, during your years of the formative education and training, what we call ibtidai talim in our language, how was it when you were growing up? What was your education like? If you can share some memories of that.
You see, my father, he belonged to a different era. He was the hero of 30s and 40s. The young Ustad Hafiz Ali Khan, young Hafiz Ali Khan's music, only Bismillah Khan could hear, or Vilayat Khan Sahab, he heard. So Vilayat Khan Sahab often mentioned, or Pandit Ravi Shankar, how my father used to play as a young musician. Bismillah Khan Sahab, he used to tell me a lot of stories because they all heard, they used to call my father uncle. So my father
Okay.
was uncle of Bismillah Khan and Vilayat Khan and Ravi Shankar ji. So I could uh, hear my father in his only old age because I'm the youngest child. And for him, the meaning of education was music only. Because we have to redefine the meaning of education. Because there are so many PhDs and so many BA, MA, or master, but they are not very kind, they are not very compassionate, they are not very helpful. So, with all due respect to education, but somewhere education could not create compassion and kindness in a human being. I remember my mathematics was very bad in my school days because my father didn't allow me to go to school because till the time we came to Delhi. And then I started going to school for a few years, and my mathematics was very poor on the paper because there is mathematics and music also, which I very naturally understood. But on the paper, I was very, very poor. So my father one day took me to the principal, Mr. M.N. Kapoor, the principal of modern school in Delhi. And my father said, how to improve my mathematics. So the principal told my father, Khan Sahab, Amjad will never pass in mathematics and I will never fail him because he has come to play sarod in this world. So can you imagine a principal talking this kind of language, that he had feeling for my music, he had feeling for my sarod, and he could encourage creative children. So the purpose is that in creative children should be encouraged, and every principal, every teacher, they should spend time to find out, because there is a creativity in every child, but it is generally suppressed. So much mathematics, so much English, so much this, every subject. So I very, it's my humble thought that every school should create a period where children should not carry the books. The teacher will only talk to them and share with them the meaning of love, meaning of compassion, meaning of surrenderness, and the contribution of their parents in their life. Why the children are getting detached from their parents? Why? It is very, very sad that all over the world the old people are suffering, the children are not taking care. I mean, forget about grandparents. I mean, the children are, when they achieve something, they discard their parents. So there is something wrong in our education system. So I don't know how to improve, and who to call educated person. You have
Ji.
to reinvent
Re-examine.
and redefine the meaning of education.
Ji. Thank you for that, Ustad.
I would like to switch the topic a bit, but I think it will probably bring you back to your family. One of the themes, or the main theme of this event, has been around musical cosmopolitanism. So much has been said about the Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb in relation to Hindustani classical music. And I'm wondering how you see the sarod as an instrument within that form of cosmopolitanism, as being a sort of innovation that fuses the Afghan rabab with Indian beenkar traditions. So is it perhaps a prime example of that sort of cosmopolitanism? And also I'd be interested to hear you talk about your family's involvement in those innovations.
You see, first of all, I don't approve calling it Hindustani music or Carnatic music. You see, India is the only country we have two traditions of North and South. But even South India is also Hindustan. So why should it be called North Indian music only Hindustani? What is Karnataka? Karnataka is a state in our country. And the literal meaning of Karu Nadu, a black mud. So it does not introduce the music by calling it Carnatic, because it's a devotional music. And music is music. Every music is based on 12 notes. And so my humble suggestion is to call it Indian classical music of South and Indian classical music of North. Because I feel very uncomfortable to call Hindustani music. I always avoid even using these words. But it is written in the books, so everybody has to blindly follow the books. Because Karnataka is a state, and all the South Indian Carnatic music is not only in Kannada language, it is the language spoken in Kerala or Tamil Nadu or Andhra. So all the 4 or 5 states of South, they sing music, and most of their music is devotional music. You sing in praise of Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Lord Ganesha, or goddesses. So I have great regards for the music of South. I have played many duets with great musicians like Emini Shankar Shastri ji, Dore Swami Iyengar ji, Lal Gudi Jayaraman ji, M.S. Gopal Krishnan ji, and Dr. Bala Murali Krishnan. So anyway, I'll talk because there's so much written on sarod in my website. So, but sarod is a Persian word, which means music. So my forefathers came from Afghanistan and settled down in central India, Madhya Pradesh. So they were in Riva. Even my great-grandfather was in Lucknow also, in that court of Nawab Wajid Ali Shah. His name was, my ancestor was known as Ghulam Ali Khan. Then he came to Gwalior. So Maharaja Sindhia of Gwalior, so my forefathers, they were all court musicians there. So sarod was modified from rabab to sarod. And my forefathers, it is our family pride, it is the love of the family. And as a child, in every year there were great sarod players in every era historically. But as a child, I was not very satisfied the way sarod was being played. So I used to discuss with my father, and sometimes he used to get very irritated with my questions. He says, "Are you a lawyer? Are you a vakil? All the time you are questioning why sarod can't produce this, why can't sarod produce this." So because he used to say sarod is a difficult instrument, it does not have frets like sitar has frets, guitar, mandolin, they all have frets. But the main the reason of my questioning was that I wanted to sing through my instrument. Da, re, na, na. So this kind of resonance and continuity I wanted to bring in my instrument. Da, re, na, na, re. So, by the grace of God, with the blessings of my Guru, today I sing through my sarod.
Thank you. That is
That's
beautiful.
wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful, Ustadi. You talked about, the sarod being the love of the family and the instrument of choice through generations in your family.
Yes,
Uh, but correct me if I'm wrong, you also have a deep, abiding love for percussion music.
yes,
And
yes,
it is often, I've seen old clippings, as well as there was this documentary that was made by Gulzar Saab many
yes.
years ago, where you are teaching your sons, but you are always accompanying on the tabla. So while you were growing up, was there any point where you thought maybe I can become a tabla player also?
No, you see, tabla is a very essential part of every human being, the rhythm. Child, a boy, especially boy, most of the boys in school, they are playing drums. So
Yes.
they become drummer because the sound of the drum is very fascinating. It catches the attention. I mean, you must have seen in concert hall, the moment tabla player play anything, it's a big applaud
Yes. Yes.
because people feel that he's done a great job. So tabla is very impressive, very, very. But I got interested playing tabla because there was a guru. My father requested him to come to our place in Gwalior. So I got so involved with tabla, my father got very frightened and afraid. He thought I might leave sarod and become tabla player. So first, then he hit the tabla for a few months, and then I continue. But I have great passion, and I sometimes guide a lot of young tabla players how to what to do and how to accompany the sarod player. Because rhythm in our life is lay.
Mhm.
I always in my life began my concert on time. I never waited for the VIP to come and light the lamp. But poor organizers, they have to wait. The VIP is coming in India. So many times concerts are delayed because VIP may be a minister or anybody.
Right.
So I personally uh, always began because I respect time. I respect rhythm. Rhythm is time. So, and every human being is born with sound and rhythm. Some realize, some don't realize. This heartbeat is an indication of rhythm. And what we speak, talk, conversation, recitation, chanting, is all part of music.
Deep. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So I'm very
I'd
happy
like,
that, sorry, I mean, I would like to say a few words about Anna, that working with her when I was in Stanford was a great pleasure and great memory I have. And she is so committed and dedicated to music. And I mean, during our conversation, I'll be very happy if she can sing something because she's learning Natya Sangeet and Maharashtrian culture. Anything, whatever you feel comfortable, please sing something for me.
oh my gosh, Ustadji, I hate to say no to you, but I think I'm not ready to do that. I may have a heart attack if I did
No,
that.
no, no, no. I mean, whatever the way, I mean, you feel comfortable. Otherwise, sometime, maybe some other time.
Yes, I
Okay.
would love to have a one-on-one and share with you.
Yes.
Um,
God willing, we will spend more time in Chicago one day.
yes, yes. I was also remembering our time together at Chicago, which was one of the great honors and privileges of my life. And it was
Stanford.
just incredible. Yes, at Stanford. Yes.
Stanford,
Oh,
yes.
sorry, I said Chicago.
Yes.
It was really incredible, and it was such a blessing to watch you teach this group of students. And as you were talking a moment ago about singing through the sarod, I was brought back to that time at Stanford because you taught everything through your voice.
Yes,
You
yes.
even
And they
for
all,
instrumentalists.
you see, they all sang because most of the Western musicians, and they are very, very, hesitant to open their mouth because they are busy reading, writing, which is a great art. I mean, I wish I could do that also, but everybody can sing. This is what I make my student realize, that you can sing and you must sing, because if you can express yourself, you will be a better instrumentalist, whether violinist, whether cellist, or sarod player. Because my father was also a great singer. You must have heard that Pandit Bhimsen Joshi often mentioned that for 2 or 3 years he was in Gwalior, in Sarodghar, and learning vocal music from my father. And especially Bhimsen ji always mentioned that two rag like Puriya and Marwa, he said that only he understood by the training of Ustad Hafiz Ali Khan sahab. So Gulzar Sahab made a documentary film on Pandit Bhimsen Joshi also. And
Yes.
my first documentary was made by a Canadian filmmaker, Mr. James Babbage, when I was, I think, 20 or 21 years old. That was in 1971. So now there are about 6, 7 documentaries, film made on me and our family. So it's nice that things are. I think in Stanford also you were recording every session of whatever I was teaching, isn't it?
Yes, yes, we have those archived.
Yes.
Yes, what an experience. And I wonder, do you feel as though the sarod itself um, is especially well suited to sing because of its fretless construction, that it's a sort of perfect instrument for sort of replicating the voice, encouraging the voice,
No, it's
resonating
not.
with the voice?
You see, closest to the voice is sarangi. Sarangi or violin or maybe cello. This bow instrument is much more closer to uh,
The human
the
voice.
voice. And among the so sarod is a, because it's a pluck instrument, so it is difficult to have that kind of continuity, that kind of slides and glides and the gamak, and all those things. So you know and as I said, in every era there were great sarod players, and at my father's generation. And you'll be surprised that sarod has become so popular today, by the grace of God, that there are about 500 sarod players all over the world. So, and even sitar players, tabla players, maybe thousands. So, thanks to all these gadgets and DVDs and CDs, and we never had tape recorder in our house. So, but now youngsters, they practice on microphone at home. So there's a lot of this electrical gadgets they have done. They have been so helpful for the younger generation, younger musicians. So the legends, the trendsetters have nearly gone. We have more copy masters, which is also difficult. It's not easy to copy Ustad Vilayat Khan or copy Ustad Pandit Ravi Shankar. So I mean, it's a quality to copy somebody, because every student, they want to become like the guru. But some students get special blessings and they create their own world. They don't sound identical copy of the guru. So that is amazing in our classical field, that sometime the son or the principal disciple creates his own world. Like in my family, I mean, many times some people ask, who do you recommend more, Aman or Ayan? Who is better than, out of the two? This is a very unkind question, because for me as a father and guru, because I feel people should understand the approach of Aman is different, approach of Ayan is different. So I mean, thank God they don't sound alike. They are not. They are not a copy of Amjad Ali Khan. I mean, they have their own world. They have created their own world, and by playing certain expressions of Aman, you can make out this is Aman. Ayan's approach is different. So that is very important. Uh, in some family, if you hear five, six musicians, it's difficult to know who is playing. They all sound alike. It also
Mhm.
happens. But there's nothing great about that. One should have something, uh, your own identity, I think. That's important.
I look
Avik,
forward to hearing what your grandsons will sound like when they get older.
they are they are very fortunate that in this pandemic, their father Ayan, because they are twin boys, and Ayan has spent a lot of time with them, and they are connected with YouTube. They are connected with all the. They are watching Superman, also all the series of Superman, and so they are. Balancing is very important, to balance the tradition and convention, tradition, and modernization or electrical world. So one has to balance. You often Indians, we talk of tradition, but they are referring to convention, because convention is a very unhealthy word. I
Mhm.
don't respect convention. That my father had a mustache, so I should also have a mustache. In our country, especially if you in the field of classical music, or even religion, so people blindly follow convention. There was a discussion and conference once when we were visiting America, Wesleyan University. So there was a question which about 20 people talked on that subject, that what is the reason of world violence? So everybody gave their opinion, but I thought the main reason of violence is religion, because we disrespect all other religions. So in my family, we respect all the religion, and we feel connected with every soul of the world. And I personally want to say that I belong to every religion of the world. I belong to every religion of India. And that is what I've learned through music, because my audience belong to every religion of the world.
Indeed.
Thank
So,
you.
Ustadji, what I think you're saying, right, if I understand you correctly, is that unfortunately today we are living at a time, I mean, be that the US or be that in India, more and more we are seeing people identifying, you use the word identity, cultural, communal, ethnic identities seem to be defining us and seem to be segregating us. And in that kind of a milieu, I think it is music and the power and love of music which can play a unifying role.
Music has connected the world. There are only 12 musical notes. And in our country, our folk music is also very rich. A line of melody can introduce that this is Rajasthani music. Da 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 re. Da 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 da. Maro da da da. So the line of melody can introduce the region, that this is Rajasthani music, this is Gujarati music, this is Punjabi music. So God has blessed us with beautiful music, beautiful flowers. India is like a bouquet of flowers, actually, with full of different
Great.
colors and different fragrance. And we only, as Anna very beautifully, she mentioned the word Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb. You know that there are people of all kind of culture, religion, and so much diversity. And that is our history. The people know Amjad Ali Khan play sarod. Who make my sarod? Mr. Hemendra Chandra Sen. So all of us depend on each other in India. If Hemendra Chandra Sen, if he doesn't make a good sarod for me, I cannot play the sarod. So, you know, Banaras, who make the sari, Banarsi sari, and who finally wear those saris. So this is a amazing country. It is difficult to the neighboring countries of India cannot understand the bond and the love. I mean, in this country, India made Bismillah Khan, India made Vilayat Khan, India made Amjad Ali Khan. So this is India. People might talk so many things, but mishap and accident, mishap happens everywhere in the world. I feel sorry when I think about 9/11. I feel very sorry. But I'm very happy that you have a amazing president, Mr. Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris. We have great expectations from them, and I hope they have a feeling for our country, for our contribution of India in the history. So I hope one day, I hope I'll have the honor of meeting them in India or in America.
Amen to that, inshallah. Hearing Ustadji,
Yes.
Anna, would you say that this resonates with much of your own research? You know, when you're talking about Indian musical traditions that clearly transcend boundaries, boundaries of community, boundaries of religion, even. It'd be great to hear your insights on that.
Yes, thank you. So my current book project is on adaptation and translation in the songs of the Bene Israel, a Jewish community from Maharashtra. And there are extraordinary examples of Bene Israel people adapting the tunes and musical practices of other Jewish communities from around the world and from in India, and also from other Indian religious communities. So, for example, in 1880, a small group of Bene Israel men heard a Hindu kirtan, a Marathi kirtan that they really loved and were moved by, and they thought this will work really well also within a Jewish context. So they created a new form of kirtan, Jewish kirtan, to teach Jewish ideas and to communicate Bible stories to Jewish listeners. And that form, those experiments that those scholars and artists did in the 1880s were hugely successful, and it became one of the most beloved forms of Bene Israel music for the next 40, 50 years. And recently, I'm happy to say it's being revived again by Bene Israel women in Mumbai.
It's a beautiful country, you know. Just few years back, Aman, Ayan, all three of us, we were invited to perform in Lute Festival in Jerusalem. And we had the honor of visiting all the, you know, holy places where, you know, about the history of Jesus Christ and the prophet, and I mean, amazing country. And we really enjoyed being there. But you see, Anna, any music of any country, in any religion, I mean, imagine appealing azan, what you hear from the mosque. Sometime our Indian priest or muezzin, the people who are doing azan, they are not so well trained. But if you hear the azan in Cairo or in Arab world, they are highly trained. The way they do azan is so beautiful, so appealing. And in every religious building, whether it is church or synagogue or gurdwara, so everybody is connected to their God through music only. There is a beautiful sound and the group singing. We in India we have Qawwali, you know, group singing. When we are doing bhajan, kirtan, you know, Raghupati Raghav Rajaram or Vaishnav Janato. So group singing is very appealing. So, and I had the honor of performing in so many church, so many synagogues and gurdwaras also, because sound has connected the world. With all due respect to language, but language creates barriers. There's no doubt about it. Music connects. I mean, I'm collaborating with so many European musicians, so many symphony orchestras, and it's because of sound. And once they write the music score, it belongs to them, and they play so beautifully as if it belongs to their forefathers. So it's amazing, such a amazing style of preserving their notation and everything. So I think world should understand that we have to respect all the religion of the world, because everybody, they have their own faith, they have own trust. So I mean, we must concentrate on our future. We must concentrate on the future of our children, the younger generation, because religion is just a way of life. One has to be kind, compassionate, helpful, supportive. And thanks to all the doctors and frontline workers of this pandemic, they have done a great service to uh, human race. And thanks to our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, that this lockdown was so essential that he immediately did for all the people in India. That really helped, because lockdown at the right time, the India could do. So thanks to our Prime Minister.
Thank you. Your words are such an inspiration about music's power to unite. And I wanted to pick up on you mentioned Vaishnava Janato, and to my knowledge, I believe you're the first sarod maestro to perform popular tunes like this.
Yes, yes.
And you've also brought about many other changes, such as introducing tarana and other vocal styles of playing. So I wondered if you could speak a bit to that. You know, this was quite a departure from tradition. So, you know, how did you get the idea to do this? How was it received? And how do you think it has shaped the way audiences perceive the sarod?
As I said, sarod has become very popular, and there are so many young, talented among the generation of Amanayan. So sarod is doing very well. Vaishnav Janato and Ramdhun, it came because I have great regards for Mahatma Gandhi, the father of nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who, you know, that freedom fighters, they played a very important role for our country. For our future, they gave their lives. So on several occasions, I was invited to perform on the 2nd October, the birth of Mahatma Gandhi, or 30th January, the day he was assassinated, he was killed. So I have performed at Sabarmati Ashram also in Gujarat, and once I was invited in UNESCO in Paris. They were honoring me and Dr. Bala Murali Krishna with the Gandhi Medal, the Director General of UNESCO. And our Prime Minister was Mr. Narasimha Rao at that time. So it was a delegation. We all went with Mr. Narasimha Rao, and we received Gandhi Medal, and we performed. And I created a new raga as a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. It's called Bapu Kos. Dara dara da da dara da dara dara da da dara da dara dara da da dara da dara. So Bapu Kos, I performed there first. So it was challenging to play any song. Ekla Chalo Re, you must have heard. I play on the sarod. Tagore song.
Yes.
I made a CD as a tribute to Rabindranath Tagore and the legendary Suchitra Mitra, the great Rabindra Sangeet singer. She and me, we played. She sang. I played about 9-10 songs. So it was a challenge to play any song which a street boy is singing. I would like to play that on my sarod. So it was a challenge. And that is why, I feel comfortable. And Tarana, what you said, the great contribution of Hazrat Amir Khusro, who created sitar also. And many instruments, many rag. If you read his history, Hazrat Amir Khusro, his shrine is in Delhi. And to make his guru happy, Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia. So he used to compose songs and in Awadhi Bhasha. And Tarana he created. Tarana does not deal with language. So he created a language of syllables. Tana tom, tadare dani, dirdir dani. Tadare dani, tadani dim, tana tano. So I have made many taranas, but this particular composition is in Rag Bahar, which I have performed all over the world. Tadare dani, tadani dim, tana tano. Tadare dani, tadani dim, tana tano. Tanum, tananum, tadere na, tadere na, tadere na, tadere na, tadere na, tadare dani, tadani dim, tana tano. Tana na 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 dim, tana na 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 na, tana na 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 dim, tana na na, tananum, tananum, So this is syllables of tabla, pakhavas, mirdangam. So it is amazing, because tarana, very few singers in our countries, they sing tarana. Otherwise, everybody is busy singing Drupad, Khayal, Tumri, Dadra. So tarana is also singing. So he created this style of singing, Hazrat Amir Khusro. So how much time is left now?
We're getting a bit low on time. I think we have just 2 more questions.
Yes, please.
And
Please go on.
Okay, so speaking of these sorts of innovations you've made, Ustadji, I was again recalled back to your time at Stanford and your performance of the Sarod concerto Samagam with the Stanford Philharmonium. Yes. And I wondered
and the
if you could say
was some
Jindong Tsai.
Ding Dong.
No, Jindong Tsai.
Yes.
Tsai.
He was working there.
Professor Tsai.
Yes,
correct.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no problem. So I'm just curious to know what you find most exciting, interesting, or challenging about working with a Western orchestra, because it's so different from other contexts in which you perform.
You see, fortunately, I had very good conductors who were, great help for me. Right from the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, they invited me to create this orchestra, Samagam. And then New Jersey Symphony Orchestra, also I collaborated with Ron Jang. Then Chicago Philharmonic Orchestra with Lydia Lankisvikaya. So Russian lady, Lydia, she was conducting Samagam when we performed for United Nations to give tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. So you see, there have been many our Indian musicians who created. They created symphony orchestras, but generally in our previous symphony orchestras, there was a lot of percussion involved, if you remember. So because I have, from my childhood, I used to listen to Bach and Beethoven and Mozart, and I used to enjoy this harmonization, counterpoints, but we could not do in our kind of music. So this harmony and, listening to those great, then I realized that in the symphony orchestra, there's hardly any role of drum. It is purely melodic. So I created Samagam. It's a very, very special, only melody of so many ragas. And there is only one point where tabla player is playing a very small, short piece there. Because I belong to sound, actually. I live in the world of sound, and melody is my life. So, and I don't want to destroy the character of ancient symphony orchestra of the Western world. So
Thank you. I love that statement.
This is my musical flirtation.
I love what you said. I live in the world of sound. That's so beautiful. Thank you.
Ustadji,
Avik, yes.
Ustadji, thank you so much for your insights. We are coming towards the end of our program, but I
Yes.
want to take you back to something that we began with. We began with talim, we began with education, we began with training at the feet of the guru. Now, in our current times, 2 decades into the 21st century, how do you view the Guru Shishya Parampara? How do you view something like Gharana? And how can that be sustained?
You see, all these words sounds historical now. Guru Shish Parampara and Gharana, and because the commitment which earlier generation had for the Guru is absolutely is dying out, because everybody, what I see since last 25 years, that everybody is in a rush to perform. Everybody, I mean, you might have met so many people, they will only ask you to give them chance to perform. Very few people are interested to learn and complete their education of music. Everybody wants to perform. And earlier days, there were very few people in our country, they were called Ustad or Khan Sahab or Pandit. But today, if you see the website or YouTube, everybody is Pandit, everybody is Ustad, everybody is Khan Sahab. So, because as a young person, my first award of my life was given by a music institution of Allahabad, Prayag Sangeet Samiti. I must have been 15 or 16 years old. They called me Sarod Samrat. Sarod Samrat, it's such a big honor by a music institution. It's a big responsibility. It was a blessing of all those musicians working in that university. They decided to encourage me and make me realize my responsibilities of my life. This Padma Award, I honor every award. I mean, Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, all these Padmas are very, very uh, great awards given by the government. But to receive an award from a music institution, that was, I can never forget that. Because in our country, now musicians who are 40 plus, they also deserve an award now. Because in our country, you must have seen when a musician becomes 70, 80, 90, then they are considered for sometime musician go away from the world without the award also. So at the right age, if a musician is encouraged, young musician is very, very important. And my father was, you must have heard that great story about my father, about Rag Darbari. My father
Please share
received
it with us.
my father received Padma Bhushan in 1960. And at that time, we were living in a rented house. We did not have car also. But my father took me along to Rashtrapati Bhavan, the president house, because he was receiving the great honor, Padma Bhushan. And that was the time I first time, uh, you know, closely met Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Dr. Krishna Menon. So after the investiture ceremony, there is a ritual. It's a convention to have a tea party in Mughal Garden. And Mr. Nehru came and my father introduced me. So there is a photograph. I'm shaking hand with Mr. Nehru in 1960. And then the president comes up to my father, Khan Sahab, I hope you are comfortable. At this stage, generally a musician who's living in a rented house, he asks for a government accommodation. please give me a house or give me a car or something. But my father was a fakir, very saintly person, absolutely committed, dedicated to the purity of rag, purity of music. And my father began telling the president that you are the president of India. It is your duty to preserve the purity of Rag Darbari. I was feeling embarrassed as a young boy that my father is saying all these things that to the person I don't think he knew what Darbari is. Then the president asked my father, Khan Sahab, main samjha nahi. I didn't understand what you said. Again, my father said that now Rag Darbari is, being handled very badly, and it will lose its purity. You are the president. You are a president, and because he was hoping as if next day he'll pass a resolution in the parliament that everybody should sing Darbari like this. He was so innocent, and so the president immediately said, yes, yes, Khan Sahab, I will do everything what you want. Please tell me what can I do for you. Then my father said, it's time for my prayer. मेरी नमाज का वक्त हो गया है, मैं घर जाना चाहता हूँ. It's time for my prayer. I must. He was not aware about the protocol that you can't leave before the president, but he left, and I was behind him, and no security officer stopped him also. So he came home and told my mother, like a child, not about Padma Award or Padam Bhushan. He said the president has promised that he will take care of Rag Darbari. So that was Ustad Hafiz Ali Khan Sahab.
Ustadji, we've gone beyond the hour, but it's been such an enchanted time. Ki time ka, waqt ka to mila hi nahi. Now, a lot of the viewers are asking me ki abhi, rukhsat ka waqt hai. So, and you mentioned Darbari. So, if you want to maybe sing a few notes.
Re zani zani zare ga ma pa pa da ni pa re na I'll play on the sarod someday because I have never practiced vocal music, but as I said, I sing through my instrument.
Ustadji, that was absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. I really and please forgive me if I have hurt anybody through my words, because I speak out. I share everything, whatever comes to my mind, and I've written few books also, and I'm writing a autobiography also. And so I'm very happy and honored to share my thoughts with all of you. Thank you so much, and looking
Ustadji,
forward to
the privilege is entirely ours. The honor is entirely ours. On behalf of the University of Chicago, on behalf of Prohor, on behalf of all the viewers across the world, thank you so much.
Namaste. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Adab.
Thank you so much.
Bye.